Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm continuing on with my awesome games from A to Z, and today's letter is N. Now, I just finished, well, I didn't just finish, but my previous A to Z video was M, and there was a lot of games that fell under that letter. In fact, I think even when I was done recording it, I realized I missed a couple, and after I launched the video, people were leaving comments in the comment section and on Facebook and Twitter and stuff saying, "Oh yeah, this game and this game," and there was a lot of M games, and so I thought, I almost thought I should do a continuation, almost like a M Part 2, but I figured, you know what, that's what the comment section is for. That's what we could leave them down there. We can always expand on that. So I thought, let's move on. Let's continue on with the alphabet. So let's get to N. Now N, I ran into the complete opposite, where I felt like I hit a brick wall. And, I like to start off, if you've been following this series, I like to start off with, like, the Atari, and then the Intellivision, and Coleco, and all that stuff, and move up. And, I looked at the Atari, I'm like, wow, there really isn't a whole lot of games that start with N. And then I looked at the Intellivision, same problem. And then I looked at, like, other systems, even the Commodore 64, which has, like, thousands of games. I was having a hard time finding stuff. So I had to really dig into build this list. And I don't just want to label off every single game out there that starts with N. I want to pick games that kind of have some kind of familiarity with me, games that I kind of grew up with or played, or, at least games that I kind of have some kind of input on. And it was kind of hard. But I did find a few. So let's begin. Atari. Now, the one I picked for Atari, 2600, is Night Driver. And this game, it got the better of me. I'm not good at it. I've tried it several times. I just am not good at it. In fact, this would be a good recipient for a Watch Me Suck at this game. Because, and I guess that's like a theme. I'm not good at the driving games or the fighting games. But the thing I like about this game is it uses these guys, the driving controllers. Or sorry, not the driving controllers, the paddle controllers. This is the paddle controller. Probably would have made sense to use the driving controller, which is the other one that the Atari Creep sent me. These are used for like Kaboom and a few other games. So it's interesting that they chose this. Maybe it's just a timing thing, or when it got released or something. Anyways, I've played Night Driver also on the Commodore 64, and I was always bad at it. And Night Driver, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You're driving a race car in the dark, and all you can see are these little markers on the side of the road to kind of tell you where the road is going. But it's also really fast. The game is fast. You're like flying through this game. It's not like, with pole position, I think you got a little bit more control over the speed and stuff. It just doesn't seem as fast, whereas this game is just like winding like this, and it's crazy. Never been a game I was good at, but I always like to try every once in a while, just put it in and just give it another go. And like I've always said before, I always love it when I get to play with the paddle controllers. It's just something different to be able to do, the paddle movements rather than the standard joystick. Just something I've always liked. As far as anything else on the Atari, I mean, I looked at the other games. I mean, there's one called Dame This Game, which was kind of interesting. I'd never really played it before, but I have seen other people review it, and it's got an interesting backstory where it was like a contest of actually you were supposed to try and name the game. Kind of an interesting storyline. I remember watching the No Swear Gamer did a video on it, and he kind of threw up that history. Another Atari, well, going into the Atari 7800, was Ninja Golf. And now this is something that I always thought I need to pick up one day, but it's not cheap. It's one of those ones where you got to really put the money into it, and I don't know much about it. I mean, I've heard about it. I've probably watched like maybe a part of a video once, but it's always kind of piqued my interest. And I'm always looking for Atari 7800 games. So if I ever come across this game, or if I can ever get it cheap, I'm definitely going to pick it up. It just sounds cool. I mean, I love ninjas and I love golf. Let's throw it together and make Ninja Golf. It just sounds like a lot of fun. Anyways, moving on. Let's go to the Nintendo Entertainment System, because I know there's one game that everybody's probably like, this one has to be on the list, and that's Ninja Gaiden, whatever. I have talked about this game a little bit. Now, this is a game I always was aware of. I always knew existed, and I just didn't have it. I never had it as a kid when I was growing up. I still don't have it now on my shelf. It's just, I don't know why. I just never got into this game. I have tried playing it on, I think it was like a live stream I did, like a first time playing where I dove right into it just to see what I could do, and I didn't do too well. I think I made it to the second level, and, just trying to figure out how the game played. I was not good at it from the get-go, but I started to pick it up. Now, the thing is, I've heard from a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other people commenting that the game itself is really hard. And so is the sequel and the third one. And, so for me to give it a shot out of the blue, I can expect that I wasn't going to get very far, especially when everybody, who plays it on an ongoing basis was telling me that the game is hard. But it was kind of fun. I kind of enjoyed it. And it's something I need to dive into again. I need to maybe check out the second one and the third one. Probably not a good idea, because if I can't pass the first one, what hope do I have on the second and the third? But it'd be kind of fun to check it out, regardless. And then the other game is one that I got really familiar with, and that is, again, a golf game. So we're going to see a lot of ninjas in golf in this video. And this is NES Open for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, my first experience playing golf was actually on the Game Boy Golf. And that's all, I think it was just called Golf on the Game Boy. This little guy right back there. That was my first experience playing a golf game, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I didn't even know how to play real golf when I bought it. I got my stepfather to teach me how to play golf so I could play it on the Game Boy. And then I bought this, NES Open. And I knew there was also a golf on the Nintendo, which I also do have in my collection there, and that's just called Golf, and it's kind of like this one, but not as good. This one has a lot better graphics. They really chiseled out how Mario should look like. You got Luigi in there. You got, all these different characters. I kind of explored this game a little bit when I did my golf games, and I played the Intellivision Golf, the Atari Golf, and this one, I believe. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I used to stay up like late night playing this game, getting through like 18 holes, and then deciding I want to play again, and screw sleep. I want to keep playing. I played this until I got to the point where it's like you made like $1 million or whatever the top was, and Donkey Kong was there in the caddy area, and it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this game, and it's something I need to play a little bit more on this channel. Like I pretty much mastered this game. I wasn't getting holes in one or anything like that, but I was getting pretty decent scores. And then another one, just kind of to throw in there, I didn't grab the cartridge, but I do have it back there, is Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, I know technically it's a Nightmare on Elm Street, but I think when people kind of talk about Nightmare on Elm Street, they start off saying Nightmare on Elm Street. So I think it counts for an N game. And I played this game on 2 different systems. I played it first on the Commodore 64, which, back in the day, I remember my friend had it, and then I got a copy of it, and I was playing the crap out of that game. And then there was the Nintendo one that came out. Now, they're 2 different games, completely different. I would never compare the 2 because one was more of a strategy game, and the other one was more of a platformer game. So the Commodore 64 was more of a strategy game. Now, it did have like a top-down view where you had the characters. And it had the characters, if you're familiar with Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, it had the characters from there, the Dream Warriors. And you kind of navigated around the streets, and then you went into like different areas. You were looking for items, and then at the end you had to try and kill Freddy. The Nightmare on Elm Street on the Nintendo was more of the typical Nintendo platform style. Had a lot of weird things in there, like radios, and, well, it had the drugs that you had to take, but then it had these, like, spiders and hands coming out, and, like, all these kind of weird characters and skeletons throwing bones and stuff. It's not a terrible game, but it just didn't feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street to me when I was playing it. Now, the other one on the Commodore 64, since I was talking about the Commodore 64, and I have talked about this game, and it's not a very common game, and probably most people have never heard of it, and I can't even pronounce it worth a darn, but I'm going to give it a try, and that's Non-Terraquoise, Quaz. I screwed it up when I did the video too. I didn't know. I still don't know how to pronounce this thing. But the game is fun, and you know, I bought it on a whim. I remember it was either a Kmart or a Zellers. I don't, you know, going back that far. I know the store started off as a Kmart, and I think it became a Zellers. It was probably still Kmart when I bought this, and it was one of those cheapy games. You buy it in a, you know, just a clear plastic thingy, and it had the disc in there, and it had 2 games with it. One was this game, and the other one was, I believe, One Man and His Droid. And I thought, hey, you know, all these games, it's $10. It was like cheap or whatever. And I got hooked on this game. And so I did a video on it where I talked about it. It's different. It's kind of a different game. And it's kind of multi-screens. There's a lot going on. It's a little bit tough. You're racing against time. You're racing against fuel. But I had a lot of fun playing that game. Even though I can't pronounce it, but I know it starts with an N. And that's, well, not Terraquaz. I think it's not Terraquaz. I don't know. Maybe if I spell it out or something, someone can pronounce it properly. So, I have another honorable mention here, and that is NHL hockey. Now, it's kind of weird, you know, it's a hockey game, it's NHL hockey. And it has appeared on multiple systems. Even technically the Intellivision had NHL hockey, which I still don't have, for whatever reason. I do have one hockey game back here, called Slapshot Super Pro Hockey, and from what I understand, it's literally the same game as NHL hockey, but they kind of fixed a few problems and they made it more of a two-player or a single player as well. But the one I'm going to talk more about is for the Sega Genesis and the N64. Sorry, not N64, Super Nintendo. And I played those a lot. I actually started playing NHL 94 on a PC, but then I moved on to the console versions, and I had a lot of fun. I was playing with friends and stuff, and that, again, kind of like with the golf experience, playing hockey on the consoles got me into wanting to watch hockey and get into this, you know, who's on the teams and all that stuff. And throughout the 90s, I was kind of a big hockey fan. I was really into hockey. I went to a couple of the games, and, you know, I knew all the players on the teams. And then at some point, it just kind of like my life took this point where I'm like, I don't have time to continue on with all this, you know, I just don't have time. I just kind of fell behind. I still don't mind hockey, but the game was where I really enjoyed it. And I loved building the teams like the NHL, the EA Sports, NHL 95, 96, 97. I mean, they came out with one every year. I even ended up with one on the PlayStation 2, I believe. I think it was 2000 and something. And, you know, I always enjoyed those hockey games. There was always a lot of fun. I liked how you could trade, how you can, you know, do a whole bunch. You could play a whole, season, try and go for the Stanley Cup. A lot of fun. I always enjoyed that. And so, yeah, I'm going to slot that under N because it is NHL hockey. I'm not going to throw in the football and all the other ones, NBA and all, because I'm not into football and basketball, so it wouldn't be fair for me to throw them on the list. Anyways, yeah, that was it. I don't have a whole lot. You know, my list is that small. You know what? I'm leaving one out. And that's Night Stalker on the Intellivision. My buddy, Chris, the Atari Creep, he actually just did a video on it. And that's a game that I did play quite a bit of when I was a kid. And I enjoyed it. Even though it's not the best game on the Intellivision, it's a lot of fun. And there is actually an Atari version of it called Dark Cavern, which is harder, and I found it to be a lot harder. In fact, I think I even did a video where I compared the two. Anyways, yeah, that's my list of video games that start with N, or awesome games that start with N. And hopefully the next few letters will be easier than this one. Even though I did have a lot to say about these ones, it's just, I expected I was going to get a lot more, and I was surprised that there isn't a whole lot of games that start with N. I wonder why that is. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Again, feel free to leave some comments down below. Throw some names down there I probably missed, or games that I missed. And it doesn't matter which system they're on, just throw them down there. Let's have some fun. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.